Hi, I'm Nate, 24, and 2 months ago I found out my college fund is gone. Not stolen. Not lost in the market. Just gone. My parents spent it. On my sister. On her 5th trip to rehab. 5th. As in, 4 previous times didn't work, so clearly the 5th was gonna be the charm, right? Let me rewind. All through high school I was the responsible one. Straight A student, never partied, never skipped class, didn't even jaywalk. Meanwhile, my older sister Zoe was. Well, let's just say her high school yearbook quote was, "Don't judge me unless you've partied harder." She had a record before I even got my learner's permit. But here's the thing. I always thought my path was laid out. College was the big golden ticket. My parents started saving when I was born. I heard about that account every birthday. This is for your future, Nate. You're gonna do big things. Turns out the big thing I'd be doing is helping pay off the deposit for her stay at Serenity Springs, a very beige, very expensive rehab resort in Arizona. How'd I find out? Great question. It was a Tuesday. I was finalizing my housing deposit for Statue. Everything was lined up, roommate picked, meal plan chosen, even got a job lined up in the library. I was feeling good. Proud. Ready. I called my dad to transfer the first semester's payment from the college fund. He paused. A long pause. You know the kind of pause that makes your stomach do somersaults? Then he says, "Buddy, we need to talk." I swear I went temporarily deaf. Everything went underwater. My heart was pounding in my ears while he gave me this whole speech about family first, and Zoe needed us. It wasn't just the money. It was the principle. They never asked me. They didn't even tell me until it was already gone. And it wasn't just some of the fund. They drained the entire account. Years of saving, birthday checks from grandma, my summer job earnings, they used all of it. $68,000. Poof. And the best part? Zoe didn't even want to go back to rehab. They basically bribed her with a new phone and cash for recovery spending. I'm not even sure what that means, but she got AirPods out of it. You know what I got? A pamphlet from the community college down the road and a "We're so proud of you for being mature about this" text. No apology. No plan. No backup. Just me, a shattered dream, and the realization that the people I trusted most thought I was the one they could afford to let down. That night, I sat on my twin bed in my childhood room, still decorated like a 12-year-old lived there, Star Wars posters, lava lamp, and all, and I stared at the ceiling wondering what the hell just happened. I didn't sleep. At all. By morning, I was making a list. Not of colleges. Of options. Because if my future was officially off the rails, I needed to figure out what train I was about to jump on instead. First thing on the list? Find Zoe. I needed to look her in the eyes and ask, was any of this worth it to her? Did she even care? And that's how I ended up flying across the country with my last $230 and a duffel bag to the desert oasis where my sister was supposedly healing. Spoiler, things went sideways fast. The flight to Arizona was packed with people in flip-flops and overpriced airport margaritas. I sat between a toddler who thought my armrest was a drum and a woman who offered me a crystal to absorb my stress energy. I took it. Honestly, it was the most support I'd gotten all week. When I landed in Phoenix, I rented the cheapest car I could find, a 2011 Kia Soul that rattled like it had unresolved trauma. I typed Serenity Springs Wellness Retreat into Google Maps, and 2 hours later I pulled up to a place that looked like a luxury spa had mated with a country club. White stucco walls, fountains, people doing yoga under palm trees. I half expected someone to offer me cucumber water before I even got out of the car. I walked up to the front desk and asked for Zoe. The woman, tan, serene, and clearly paid to smile at chaos, said, "She's in group therapy right now. Would you like to wait?" I nodded, parked myself in a suede chair, and waited. And waited. And waited. An hour later Zoe strutted in wearing designer sunglasses, a flowy linen robe, and a pair of platform sandals. Her hair looked better than mine had at prom. She didn't notice me at first. She was too busy talking to a guy named Bryce about whether the protein shakes here were too aggressive. When she finally spotted me, she froze. Her mouth twitched like she wasn't sure whether to smirk or roll her eyes. "Nate?" What the hell are you doing here? I stood. Nice to see you too, Zoe. We need to talk. She shrugged. Cool. Let's walk. I'm due for sound bath therapy in 10. A sound bath. Of course she was. We walked past the koi pond and into a shady nook with pillows and wind chimes. She plopped down like it was her damn throne and said, So? What's your deal? My deal? You are my deal, Zoe. I snapped. You burned through my college fund. Again. That was supposed to be my future. She rolled her eyes like I just complained about a slow Wi-Fi connection. Look, I didn't ask them to drain your money. That was their choice. No. I said. You didn't ask, but you didn't say no either, did you? Silence. Then, without even a hint of shame, she said, They said you'd understand. I laughed. I actually laughed. Oh, that's rich. They thought I'd be totally fine giving up my education so you could get a facial and scream into the desert about your feelings? It's more than that, Nate, she said, softening. I'm trying to get better. Are you? I shot back. Or are you just coasting through your 5th spa vacation until the next meltdown? She flinched. That landed. I didn't come here to fight. I added. I came here because I needed to see if you were actually taking this seriously. Because if you're not, then you wasted everything. Not just the money, me. Zoe was quiet for a long time. For a second, I saw a crack in her. Like she might actually cry. But instead, she pulled off her sunglasses and said something I'll never forget. I didn't ask to be the broken one, Nate. But they chose to save me. I didn't get to choose that. You think that's easy? I didn't know what to say. Because no, I guess I didn't think about that. But also? Screw that. I didn't ask to be the stable one either. That was just the role I got cast in. Before I could respond, a bell rang in the distance. Sound bath time, she said, standing. You can stay the week if you want. They've got a killer juice bar. Then she walked away, leaving me in the shadow of a palm tree, holding a crystal in one hand and my future in the other. And right then, I decided something. If no one else was going to fight for me, I'd fight for myself. But first, I was going to dinner. Because screw it, they were paying for it. I stayed at Serenity Springs for 3 days. Not because I wanted to bond with Zoe or suddenly found inner peace from chanting in a eucalyptus-scented sweat dome. No, I stayed because I needed to see it all for myself. The truth. The full picture. And what I saw? It wasn't rehab. It was rehab-adjacent luxury. The kind of place where you can get acupuncture and avocado toast delivered to your meditation cabana. There were more kombucha taps than actual counselors. The therapy was optional. And half the people there looked like influencers recovering from too many brand deals. Zoe fit in perfectly. Every morning I watched her glide through the courtyard with her smoothie and her retouched serenity. She was glowing. Honestly, if I didn't know better, I'd think she was just at a high-end desert retreat for burned-out CEOs. Not someone who once tried to trade my Xbox for a bottle of Xanax. On the second night, I sat in on one of her group sessions. She introduced me as my brother, the one they sacrificed. Everyone chuckled. I didn't. They passed around a talking stick, and people took turns sharing stories that felt more curated than heartfelt. When it got to Zoe, she smiled and launched into this poetic monologue about the ache of self-destruction and carrying guilt in her spine. It was beautiful. Practiced. Bull***** tea. Afterward, she cornered me near the hibiscus water station. Didn't know I could talk like that, huh? She said, smirking. I didn't know you could lie that well in public. I replied. Her face dropped. Why are you really here, Nate? Because I wanted to see if you were worth it. Wow. That's cold. It's honest. She stared at me for a long time, her eyes calculating. And then, like she'd been holding it in since I arrived, she exploded. You think I wanted this life? She snapped. You think I enjoy being the disappointment? I hate myself every damn day, Nate. But I don't get to start over. I wake up and I'm still me. You had a chance. And yeah, maybe mom and dad screwed you over, but at least you're still you. At least you didn't screw yourself up so bad the only place people feel safe leaving you is behind a locked gate with a sunrise yoga class. Her voice cracked. She was shaking. And for the first time in years, I didn't see the smug, selfish mess of a sister who used to steal my lunch money. I saw a girl who was drowning in guilt she couldn't swim out of. But I also wasn't gonna let her off the hook. Then change, Zoe. Actually do something this time. Make it count. She nodded slowly. I'm trying. I really am. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The next morning, I was packing up to leave. My stuff barely fit in the trunk of the Kia. I'd collected about 12 unsolicited crystals, 3 books on manifesting, and a robe that weirdly fit too well. That's when I saw Zoe sitting on a bench, crying. Not performative tears. Not for show. Just sobbing. I didn't say anything. Just walked up and sat next to her. After a minute, she handed me something. It was a folded piece of paper. Inside, scrawled in her messy handwriting, was a list. Things I owe Nate. $68,000. One future. An apology that actually means something. Proof I can change. I'll pay you back, she whispered. Somehow. Someday. I swear. I didn't trust her. But for the first time, I almost believed her. Almost. I left Serenity Springs that afternoon. Drove straight to Phoenix and got on the first flight home. I had no plan. No money. No college. But I had one thing now I didn't have before. A choice. And that's when the real twist hit. I got home, walked into my room, and found my mom sitting on my bed, holding a letter. From StakeU. She handed it to me without a word. I opened it. And everything changed. The letter was short. Direct. Dear Nathaniel Myers, we are pleased to inform you that you've been awarded the Founders Resilience Grant. This full-ride scholarship covers tuition, housing, and meals for 4 years at State University. Congratulations on your remarkable perseverance and academic record. I read it twice. 3 times. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. My mom sat there quietly, like she was trying to decide whether to smile or cry. They called a few days ago, she finally said. Wanted to confirm your FAFSA. I didn't know what to tell them. You didn't think to maybe, I don't know, call me? I asked, stunned. I didn't think you'd want to talk to us. Fair point. I stared at the letter. Full ride. Full ride. After everything that had happened, after losing everything I thought I could count on, somehow, this door had swung wide open. Like the universe tossed me a life raft at the exact second I stopped treading water. It was the first time in weeks I actually let myself breathe. But then came the awkward silence. You know the kind. Heavy. Fragile. My mom cleared her throat. Nate, I know we hurt you. I said nothing. She kept going. Your father and I thought we were doing what was right. Zoe was dying? I cut in. 5th time, Mom. 5th. You gambled my future on her recovery like it was some kind of roulette table. What happens when there's a 6th? She didn't answer. Just looked down at her hands, twisted together like she could strangle her guilt into silence. I know you hate us right now, she whispered. I don't hate you, I said. I just don't trust you. And that might be worse. She winced. I'm moving out, I added. Her head snapped up. Where will you go? Dorms, I said, lifting the letter. They're covered. I'm starting over. She nodded, slow. Like she knew she'd already lost me. And maybe, deep down, she thought she deserved it. When I walked out of that house, I didn't look back. Over the next few weeks, everything moved fast. I registered for classes, met my roommate, Justin, biology major, sleepwalks and eats string cheese like a raccoon, and started my work-study job at the library. For the first time in forever, I had structure. Purpose. A place that was mine. And I didn't hear from Zoe. Not at first. Until week 3. She texted me a picture of a homemade vision board. Dead serious. It had magazine cutouts of accountability, debt-free by 30. A gold star that said, apologize better. And a printout of my face, like an actual creepy screenshot from Facebook, under the word inspiration. Then, miss you. Still owe you #1, #4. Working on it. I didn't respond right away. But I smiled. Week 5, she Venmo'd me $27 with the note. Partial payment. Don't spend it all at once, nerd. Week 7, I got a letter in the mail. handwritten. 4 pages. She apologized, line by line, for every stupid, selfish, chaotic thing she'd done since we were kids. Even the time she blamed me for the hamster dying when she actually sat on it. I didn't cry. I bawled. And slowly, something shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet. But the door cracked open. Just enough. By mid-semester, I had new friends, an advisor who believed in me, and a class called Intro to Ethics. That made me angrier than it should have. And one night around 2 a.m., I found myself staring at the ceiling again. Only this time? I wasn't wondering what the hell just happened. I was wondering what was next. And right then, my phone buzzed. Zoe. Just 2 words. Can I visit? I stared at the screen. And I typed. Maybe. But you're sleeping on the floor. Zoe showed up 3 weeks later with a suitcase full of entirely inappropriate clothes for fall weather and 2 reusable bags of Trader Joe's snacks, like she was trying to bribe her way into my forgiveness with freeze-dried mango. She stepped into my dorm room, looked around at the twin XL beds, the sad mini fridge, and the hang in there motivational cat poster Justin had insisted we keep, and said, "Wow. This is depressing. But in a gross sort of way." "Thanks," I muttered. "You're on the floor. No discussion." She plopped down on the carpet with a dramatic groan. "God, I miss you." I didn't say it back. Not yet. But I handed her a blanket and a granola bar, which in our weird sibling language pretty much meant, "I miss you too." The first night was awkward. She hovered like a guilty golden retriever, trying too hard to seem changed. She asked about my classes, my professors, whether Justin had finally figured out how to use the communal shower without wearing Crocs. I answered in short, clipped sentences, unsure of how much I could let her back in. The second night she asked if we could walk. Like a brother-sister walk, she said. Not an intervention. No crystals. Swear. So we walked. Across campus, past the library, around the quad. She told me about rehab. The real parts. The hard parts. The night she almost left. The day she finally didn't. "I hated myself," she said, voice low. "Still do some days. But I realized I've never hated myself more than when I saw what I did to you." I stopped walking. She kept going. "You were always the one they could count on. The easy kid. So they did. Over and over. And it cost you everything. I was the screw-up, so they threw everything at me, hoping one day I'd magically not be." Her voice cracked again. She wiped her eyes. "I don't deserve a second chance. But you do." I was quiet for a long time. Then I finally said, "You want to make this right?" She nodded fast. "More than anything." "Then stop running. From everything. Get your life together. No more fancy rehabs. No more fake awakenings. Just be real. Stay clean. Work. Pay me back in small doses and big ones." She pulled something out of her pocket. A check. It was post-dated, clearly old, with a memo that said, "Step 1. For your textbooks next semester," she said. "I got a job. At a coffee shop. It's terrible. I smell like oat milk. But it's mine." I took the check. And for the first time, I believed her. The rest of the weekend was good. Not perfect. She still snores like a walrus and made fun of my laundry detergent. "This smells like depressed lemon." But it felt like we weren't stuck anymore. She left Sunday night. Hugged me like it actually meant something. She didn't cry. I did, but only after she was gone. 3 days later, something happened I didn't expect. I got a call from Dad. I let it ring 6 times before answering. "Hey, bud," he said, voice hesitant. "Can we talk?" There was a beat. Then he added, "We messed up. And we want to make it right." I waited. This time, I was the one pausing. "Okay," I said. "But you'd better be ready to listen." What came next would tear a few old wounds wide open. But it was time. Time for the truth. Time for the part they'd never told me. Time to find out what really happened to the money. I met my parents at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory. Public. Harder to yell at each other in front of people sipping iced caramel things with oat milk foam. They were already seated when I got there, Mom twisting her wedding ring nervously, Dad staring into a black coffee like it had all the answers he didn't. Hey, I said, sitting down. They looked up, startled, like they weren't sure I'd actually show. Mom started first. We're so glad you came. I nodded. Let's just get to it. Dad sighed. We didn't spend all the money on Zoe. That threw me. What? He glanced at Mom, who gave him a barely perceptible nod. Zoe's rehab. It was most of it, yes. But we were already dipping into your fund before that. Years ago. For other things. Like what? He cleared his throat. Mortgage payments. Car repairs. Medical bills. Your mom's surgery last year. And he stopped, looking like he'd swallowed broken glass. We took out a loan against it when things got tight, assuming we'd pay it back. But you didn't, I said flatly. No, Mom said. We didn't. So what you told me, that the whole thing went to Zoe's 5th rehab, was a lie. We were ashamed, Dad said. We figured if you hated us, better you hate us for something noble. Something that sounded like sacrifice instead of failure. That's when it hit me. They hadn't just let me down. They'd lied because the truth made them look worse. It was easier to frame it as martyrdom than mismanagement. I sat back in my chair, furious all over again, but this time it was clean anger. Not the messy heartbreak of betrayal. Just raw, unfiltered clarity. You let me believe my future was a casualty of someone else's choices, I said. But the truth is, you gambled it away one emergency at a time. And when it was gone, you didn't come clean. You let me find out after everything fell apart. We thought we could fix it, Mom whispered. Before you found out. Well, you didn't. Silence. Then Dad said, we sold the cabin. Upstate. It's not much, but it'll cover a year of your expenses if you'll take it. I stared at them. The cabin was their retirement dream. The one thing they hadn't mortgaged. You sold the one thing you had left? We needed to make it right, he said. And we finally realized that couldn't happen unless we sacrificed something real too. That landed. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just nodded. It wasn't a fix. But maybe it was a start. When I got back to campus, Zoe had texted me. Told you they'd come around. I'm proud of you. Also, please tell me Justin stopped sleep eating your Pop-Tarts. I replied. He hasn't. But I think I'm okay anyway. The weeks passed. I dove into school like it was oxygen. The scholarship held. The cabin money helped. Zoe sent me her first full Venmo payment for $50 with a note that said, tell the vending machine I said you're welcome. By Christmas, she'd been clean 6 months. She got promoted at the coffee shop. Said she was saving for community college. Something low stakes and not spiritual. She joked. Maybe accounting. I'm good at tracking money I don't have. For the first time, I saw her future as a real thing. Not just an apology to her with organic granola. As for me? I still carry that list she wrote. Things I own 8. I don't need her to finish it. Not all of it. She's already given me the one thing I never expected to get back. Hope. Hope that people can change. That broken doesn't mean ruined. That sometimes, rock bottom isn't a place, it's a doorway. My college fund is still gone. But my future? Turns out, that's still mine.